"The river is right there," one of them says, staring into a riverbed with no river. 25 German prisoners crawl out of a tunnel in Arizona on December 23, 1944, convinced they are one good map away from Mexico. They build a boat in the desert. They save food. They fake roll calls. They slip past American guards and into the night. And then they hit the kind of problem no European sailor ever expects. The waterway that is supposed to carry them to freedom is mostly sand, brush, and cold air. But that wasn't the worst part. Because once their plan collapses, the desert starts hunting them back. Camp Papago Park sits near Phoenix, Arizona, under red buttes and winter stars. By late 1944, it holds about 3,000 German prisoners, many from the Kriegsmarine. Some are ordinary sailors. Some are hardened U-boat officers.
The highest profile troublemaker is Captain Jürgen Wattenberg, a submarine commander with a reputation for pushing every limit he can find. On paper, the camp looks secure. Barbed wire wraps the compounds. Guard towers rise above the fences. Arizona's soil feels hard as brick. American officers assume nobody will dig through it. That becomes the first big mistake. Here's what they didn't know. The men inside Compound 1 have time, discipline, and one blind spot the towers cannot see. The tunnel starts in a bathhouse. The entrance hides behind a wooden wall and a large coal box. Night after night, men work in 90-minute shifts. One digs, one fills buckets, one hauls dirt, others hide the evidence. They flush soil down toilets. They stash it in attics. They shake it from their pants into gardens and a volleyball court. Guards see loose dirt and think construction. They had no idea that every pile means freedom is getting closer. By December 20th, the tunnel reaches about 178 feet and runs east toward the Crosscut Canal. The escape team also saves food, gathers civilian clothes, and collects scraps of wood and rubber. Why? Because the men trust the map more than the land. They see the Salt River and the Gila River on paper and imagine a watery highway south. If you think that's crazy, remember where these men come from. They know ships and rivers. They do not know Arizona. Then everything changed. A fight over roll call gives them the perfect escape window. Wattenberg wants one thing above all else: time. He knows the escape only works if the guards discover the missing men too late. So the officers stage a standoff. First, they refuse normal roll call unless an officer handles it. The camp command pushes back. For 16 days, both sides grind through the dispute. Finally, they reach a compromise. Senior officers can stand in their barrack doorways to be counted. That tiny rule change sounds harmless. It is not. At 9 p.m. on December 23, 1944, the escape begins. Other prisoners create noise and distraction. Men sing, men celebrate, men stomp and laugh. Beneath that cover, 25 escapees slide through the bathhouse opening, down the shaft, and into the tunnel one by one. "Keep moving," someone whispers. "No noise now." The tunnel is narrow, dusty, and dark. It smells like wet clay and coal dust. Shirts drag against the walls. Elbows scrape. A single mistake could collapse the whole thing. But by 2:30 a.m. on Christmas Eve, all 25 men make it out. They emerge near the canal under brush and trees, gulping cold air and staring at open ground. For a few minutes, the impossible has worked. That should be the triumph. It isn't. Because escape from a camp is not escape from Arizona. The men split into smaller groups and head south. Wattenberg has arranged false papers and contact names in Mexico. The border lies about 130 miles away. On a map, the route looks difficult but possible. Then they reach the Salt River. 3 officers, including Wilhelm Günther, Wolfgang Claris, and Friedrich Uzzolino, carry the strangest part of the plan. They have built a collapsible raft from wood and scrap rubber. In their minds, the route is simple. Float down the Salt River, meet the Gila, reach the Colorado, drift toward the Gulf of California. Instead, when they stare at a channel with barely any water, sand crunches under their boots, reeds whisper in the wind. mud grabs at the edges. The great river on their map looks more like a ditch. One of them blurts, "This can't be real." But that wasn't the worst part. They now understand the map has lied to them. Or rather, they have misunderstood the desert. In central Arizona, rivers can flow hard in one season and vanish in another. The Salt River near Phoenix often runs dry because dams upstream control the water. To locals, that is normal. To German sailors raised on the Rhine and the North Sea, it feels absurd. So they abandon the raft after a short, humiliating attempt. What happened next turns a bold escape into a slow-motion collapse. The groups scatter wider. Some move at night and hide by day. Others follow canals.
And then Arizona winter hits. Nights around Phoenix in December bite hard. Rain moves in. Wet clothes cling to skin. Shoes fill with grit. Then hunger joins in. Then thirst. Then confusion. "Which way is south?" one man asks. "Just keep going," another snaps. They keep going, but the terrain keeps changing. Chala and mesquite tear at clothing. Some men try to steal rides. Some beg for food. One group gets close to Gila Bend and decides to wash underwear in a canal. That tiny choice gives them away when local cowboys spot them. Meanwhile, back at camp, Captain Cecil Partial studies the compound and feels the numbers do not add up. By the evening of December 24th, he knows prisoners are missing. Soon, soldiers, FBI agents, police, and Papago scouts spread across the region.
Newspapers call it one of the biggest manhunts in Arizona history. Rewards go up. Mugshots appear. Every gas station, ranch, and roadside cafe becomes a checkpoint. They had no idea how fast a desert town can close ranks. Some escapees crack almost immediately. A few surrender within days, exhausted and starving. Others get picked up because their accents stand out. A couple make it within 30 miles of Mexico. 2 more get within about 10 miles. And Wattenberg, the man who starts it all, makes the strangest move of all. He hides north of Phoenix instead. Wattenberg retreats into the mountains with Walter Kozer and Johann Kremer. They find a cave and turn it into a hideout. Cold stone walls, thin blankets, stale food. The city glows in the distance like a taunt. Freedom lies south, but Wattenberg chooses patience over distance. Johann Kremer pulls off the wildest trick in the whole escape. Every few days, according to accounts, he makes contact with German work details outside the camp perimeter and swaps places with a prisoner who is still inside. The other man goes to the cave for the night. Kremer slips back into camp. He gathers food. He listens for news. He carries information back out. It is brilliant. It is reckless. Somehow, it works several times. "They still think I'm inside," he says. For days, Wattenberg's little network survives on nerve and routine. Here's what they didn't know. The longer a trick works, the more casual you become. And casual men make visible mistakes. A surprise inspection on January 22nd blows the scheme apart. Guards discover Kremer where he should not be. Soon after, soldiers stake out an abandoned car used to hide provisions. Kozer walks into the trap and gets captured. The circle tightens fast. Wattenberg now faces the truth he has avoided for a month. The cave is no longer a refuge. It is a countdown. On January 27th, 1945, he cleans himself up and walks into Phoenix like a man trying to become invisible by acting ordinary. He has 75 cents. He buys a meal at a restaurant. He rests in a hotel lobby chair for a few hours. Then he walks the city streets at night, passing street crews cleaning the roads. Then everything changed. Sottenberg asks a street cleaner for directions. Just directions. But the worker hears the accent. He listens a little longer. Something feels wrong. "Where are you from, buddy?" he asks. That simple question ends the whole saga. The cleaner calls police. By 9 o'clock the next morning, January 28th, Wattenberg is under arrest. No shootout, no sprint for the border. Just a tired man, a strange accent, and one suspicious local. Once Wattenberg falls, the story loses its final illusion. All 25 escapees are back in custody. Nobody dies in the chase. That fact matters. Just months earlier, German forces had executed escaped Allied officers after the breakout from Stalag Luft III. Some of the Papago men likely expect brutal payback. They do not get it. Instead, American authorities punish them with reduced rations for the number of days they were gone. Bread, water, confinement. The guards face scrutiny too, but the bigger lesson lands elsewhere. Think about the emotional whiplash. On the night of December 23rd, these men feel brilliant. They have beaten the wire, the towers,
And the hard ground. For a few hours, they are no longer prisoners. Then the desert strips the story down to basics. Food, water, warmth, direction, accent, local knowledge. All the glamorous parts of escape vanish. What remains is a hard lesson in geography. The Crazy Boatman becomes the perfect nickname for the river group, and maybe for the whole breakout. It sounds funny until you picture the moment they drag a raft toward a river that barely exists. Sand underfoot, rubber creaking, morning light rising over a dry channel. One sailor mutters, "We built a boat for this." But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is realizing the enemy was never just the guards. It was the map in their heads. They thought Arizona behaved like Europe. They thought a blue line on paper guaranteed water on the ground. They were wrong. Locals understood things the prisoners did not. Winter desert cold can cut fast. Dams can empty a riverbed. Small towns notice strangers. Cowboys watch canals. Workers hear accents. Papago scouts read terrain. What the escapees discovered was bigger than one failed breakout. A place can defeat you without firing a shot. That is why the Great Papago Escape still stands out in American wartime history. It is the largest Axis POW breakout on U.S. soil, yet its lasting image is almost absurd. Not barbed wire, not gunfire, a boat in the desert. There is a sharp irony here. Camp Papago Park was not some frozen fortress. It sat near a fast-growing American city, and many prisoners actually lived with decent food and leisure time. American officers assumed comfort and distance would keep men in place, when the prisoners assumed discipline and planning could beat any landscape. Both sides misjudged something important. Wattenberg misjudged Arizona. The Americans misjudged Wattenberg. And the whole episode proves a point military history repeats again and again. Logistics matter. Geography matters more. A tunnel can beat a fence, but the land always gets the last vote. Today, most people pass through Papago Park thinking about hiking trails, red rocks, or spring training fields. Very few realize that in 1944, 25 German sailors crawled under that ground and stepped into one of the strangest escape attempts of World War II. They went looking for a river route to freedom and found one of history's cruelest punchlines. The lesson of Papago Park is simple. A smart escape plan can still die on one bad assumption. In this case, the assumption is almost unbelievable. Trained sailors trust a desert river to carry them away, and the desert laughs first. If this story surprised you, drop a comment with the moment that got you most. Was it the tunnel, the raft, or Wattenberg getting caught over his accent? And if you want more historical stories where one tiny detail changes everything, subscribe and stick around for the next one. Because sometimes history doesn't fail with an explosion. Sometimes it fails with a map, a dry riverbed, and one question asked at the wrong time.